Hey there, it's Steve from Serious Keto, and in this video I'm going to be doing a review of the low-carb pizza crust from Keto Bakes. I've mentioned in previous videos that growing up I worked at a pizza parlor, an authentic pizza and ice cream shop, and I have made thousands, well, probably tens of thousands of pizzas. I've got a pretty high bar for pizza crusts, and I haven't had a lot of great keto pizza crusts. The best pre-made one I've had was probably from So Keto-licious, and I'll link to that right up here. The best homemade one, I would have to give that honor to Dennis at Black Tie Kitchen and his Pizza Dough 2.0. So a mix kind of falls somewhere in between those two things. You're making your own, but it's also kind of pre-made. As I do the review of the Keto Bakes mix, the two things that I'm going to give you my feedback on are how easy is it to make, especially following the instructions, and how good does it taste? The one thing I'm not going to be testing will be my blood glucose. The reason for that is twofold. One, it's a pizza crust, and I'm going to be topping it with pizza sauce and cheese and maybe some other ingredients, and that's going to throw off the test. But more importantly, the ingredients list. There is nothing in this ingredients list that I think is going to have any impact on my blood glucose. We have non-GMO almond flour, non-GMO oat fiber, xanthan gum, aluminum-free baking powder, KB Extra Sweet, which is their sweetener blend of non-GMO erythritol, and pure stevia extract powder, baking yeast, Himalayan pink salt, ascorbic acid, natural flavor, and garlic powder. That is pretty clean. Now in terms of the nutritional facts, I can't really opine on those yet because it's based on 1/12 of whatever the total amount of dough I get is. It says that the serving size of 1/12 of a package has 8 grams of total carbs, 6 grams of fiber for a net 2 grams. But with that out of the way, let's see how easy this is to make. We'll start by dumping the entire contents of the bag into a bowl. Looks very almond floury. Then we add 1/2 cup of liquid egg white, 1 cup of shredded mozzarella. I'm using pre-shredded. Yeah, I know that gives me a couple extra carbs. I'm not super concerned. And 1/4 cup of water. The instructions say to mix with a hand mixer. I would probably go with a food processor just because that's really going to bust up all that mozzarella and really mix it well, but we're going to follow the instructions and mix for 2 to 3 minutes with a hand mixer. Okay, I can tell you already I'm not liking the way that this is coming together with the hand mixer. We're going to transfer this to a food processor. Contents are in a food processor. Let's see if this doesn't come together a little bit better this way. Much better. I'm going to transfer this back to that glass bowl so it can rest. So the texture of this dough is actually pretty nice. I think this is going to be easy to work with. It's not sticky. Of course, it's also not gluten-y. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to place it in this bowl, which I've lightly greased with olive oil. The instructions say that you should let it rest for 5 minutes, unless you want it to develop a more yeasty flavor, in which case let it rest for an hour or 2. And I like that yeasty flavor. So I'm going to let it rest for an hour or 2. I am, however, going to cover it with a little plastic wrap just so that it doesn't dry out. Then we'll be back in an hour or 2. I've let the dough sit for 1 hour, during which time I also preheated my oven to 425 degrees. The instructions say that you can either make 1 larger pan pizza or 2 smaller thin crust pizzas. I'm actually going to kind of do both. I'm going to make 1 thin crust pizza and I'm going to make 1 pan pizza in this smaller cast iron here. Wow, this smells good already. I'm going to cut it in half. Set that one aside. And I can see that the yeast has made some little air pockets in here. So for the first one, I will do in the cast iron, which I have lightly oiled with olive oil. Little kitchen hack here. I've lightly greased the bottom of this glass with olive oil. We'll use that to press out our dough. Hopefully it doesn't stick. Now I'll just finish the edges with my fingertips. And I'm going to call that good enough. Looks a little bit rustic, but good enough for government work. Then I'll take my other piece on a piece of parchment, top it with another piece, and roll this out. I far prefer rolling out pizza dough with flour in it. The gluten I just find is way easier to work out and to keep round. So I've got this about the thickness that I want. Now I got to kind of tidy up the edges here. This looks pretty ragged. All right, that's about as good as this is going to get for a non-gluten sort of dough. Now we par bake for 10 to 15 minutes. I have a pizza steel in my oven, and the thin crust is going to go on top of that. Put the pan pizza underneath. It's been 10 minutes, so let's take a look at our crust. I think we're about good on the thin crust. The pan pizza looks like it could go a little bit longer. Yep, still kind of doughy. So I've got some little mozzarella puffs going on here. It smells great. The texture here, slightly springy. I'm going to sauce it up with a combination of Rayo's arrabbiata and some tomato paste. And some mozzarella. And poor planning on my part, I don't have any pepperoni, and that's really what I want to put on this pizza. So we're just going to go cheese pizza. Maybe that's better because it gives me a better taste of the crust. So now this will go back in the oven for another 10 to 15 minutes. Now it's time to make our pan pizza. Again with the sauce. Probably go a little heavier on the sauce on this one since the crust is going to be thicker. And also, because it's a pan pizza, I like to go extra heavy on the mozzarella. Get that all the way to the edge there where it kind of burns a little bit. And now this will go back in the oven for 12 to 15 minutes. All right, there we go. Here's our thin crust. That is looking pretty good. Let's see how this slices. It's not super crispy based on what I'm feeling here. So basically, one of these slices would be 2 grams net carbs. I'll try and show you the underside of the crust here. Looks pretty good. Like I said though, not especially crispy. So now I'll give it a taste. That's pretty solid. I'm going to go for another bite here on the corner here where it's mostly crust. That is a good crust. I mean, you don't get the sort of gluten-y chew that you would get from real flour, which I kind of miss. And it's not super crispy, but it's also not doughy. It's a nice balance. There's no strong, overpowering flavor or texture to it that would be off-putting. It's not like fathead dough where the mozzarella kind of overpowers and really makes it a little bit sort of filling. I like this texture. I've had people leave comments that basically say, crust is useless, who cares about crust, it's about what goes on it. My personal opinion is that people with that attitude don't really understand pizza. Crust can make or break a pizza. And at the very least, in my opinion, a keto crust should do no harm. And this does no harm. In fact, like I said, I like this. So now while I wait for that pan pizza, I'm going to get the perspective of a couple of non-keto people. All right, I've got Connor, who...
Hello.
And Colton. You say hi?
Hi.
All right, we'll let Dad have a bite first. Just to make sure that it's not too hot. Is it the right temperature?
Yeah.
Yes, good. Not too hot?
What was it?
How is it?
Good.
Do you want more?
Boy,
What do you say?
please.
Here you go. Now, look at the camera. Tell them what you think.
How is it?
How is it?
Good.
Okay. And what do you think?
It's pretty good.
So, compared to some of the other crusts that we've had, where would you place this on a keto crust scale?
This is definitely one of the better ones. It's the most like bread-like, I would say. It's soft and chewy like bread.
Day.
There you go. All right, let's slice up this pan pizza. And for the sake of a taste test, I'm just going to go 1/8. All right, look at that. See how it tastes though. Hopefully this is not a tongue burning scenario.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that the additional dough does bring out more of that yeasty flavor, although texture-wise, it seems a little bit undercooked. So I think going forward, I'll probably stick with the thin crust. So there you go, Keto Bakes pizza crust. I was kind of prepared to be underwhelmed by this, and I'm pleasantly surprised, which is good because they sent me like 4 other different bake mixes that I'll be trying out in the coming months. I am not at the moment an affiliate marketing partner with them because I just didn't know whether or not I'd like their stuff. But I will include a link down below in the description along with a coupon code if I can get one. Who knows, maybe by the time you view this, I will be an affiliate marketing partner. But regardless, there will be a link down in the description below if you'd like to check out the products at Keto Bakes. That's it. Hopefully this was helpful to you. Thank you for watching.
It's this.